guys, Chad Hoover, ICAST 2022. I made my way over to the Shimano booth and I ran into this dude right here. All of you guys know JP. So JP's been on TV forever. You know who he is. I came in and I said, hey man, give me some information. In the military, we called it gouge. I was like, give me some gouge on the spinning reels. And then I came over here and was gonna try to act like I knew what I was talking about. And another media group walked up and said, hey JP, can you tell us about the spinning reels? And then I went, bro, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna let you do the spinning reels. So being from up north, he fishes a lot more spinning tackle than I do. Down in the south, we don't fish spinning gear as much, but I can tell you this, since I started using the better spinning rods and the better spinning reels, I realized the reason we didn't is we always use garbage, entry-level spinning stuff. And now, even in the Shimano line, your entry-level stuff is like unbelievable. But then when you move up to the new stuff, it gets even better. And I've been fishing the Vanford now for 2 years and have been either pairing it with a really good G-Loomis rod or with a really good, Shimano rod, an X-Pride or something like that. And it's a completely different game. I can fish a Ned rig and tell you the difference in the size of the muscles that I'm fishing it over. So I'm converting to a big, a lot more of a spinning tackle fan, especially when it gets hot outside or it's the dead of winter and I got to downsize. So do me a favor, I'm gonna turn it over to JP. I'm gonna let him run you through the specs. Man, give me everything you got, because you are like a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. He's gonna tell you about drag pressures and manufacturing techniques and all the tech spec stuff way better than I do. So because we're both the guys that really like to talk, I'm getting out of the frame because otherwise I'm gonna interrupt you 5 times. And so I'm just gonna turn it over to JP. JP, take us through everything you can, if you don't mind.
We'll do a background on the spinning.
I would rather say take us through the whole spinning line and instead of saying give me 2 minutes, like give us everything. All right, brother?
Let's do it. All right, so the big thing with Shimano is always, Stella is the driving factor behind every technology we have at Shimano. And what you find in here is things we used to do in Stella. Every time Stella sets the bar a little higher, they create new technologies, there's a trickle down. And at this point, at $139.99, we're finding trickle down features that you didn't find in Stratic not 2 generations ago. So this is the new Miravel. Miravel is a Magnum Light reel, and it's available in 5 sizes, a 1,000 to 2,500, a C3000 to 4,000, and a C5000. Now you hear me say the word C5000 or C3000, that just means a C3000 has the exact same body as a 2500 with a deeper cut spool, so they call that compact design, that holds a little more line. That helps them create bodies that are built perfectly to handle just about anything you want to throw at them. So, features of this reel. Hagane gear is probably the core of the reel, and that's a cold forged aluminum drive gear. They're stamping aluminum into the toughest gear on the market, bar none. The second thing, X-Ship. That's a double bearing supported pinion gear that really helps between that Hagane gear and X-Ship, gives you a lot of winding torque even under load when you're fighting big fish. Silent drive. Silent drive is basically where the engineers at Shimano really pushed the tolerances inside the reel and tightened everything up. So when you spin that reel, you don't hear that whirring sound of gears that have gaps between them. It really gives you a great feeling reel. So when you compare this, which has 5+1 bearings, to a Noski, which has the exact same feature set, the difference with Miravel is it's got a CI4 or reinforced carbon fiber body, and it's got a Magnum Light reel on the rotor. So when you get low startup inertia on spinning, it makes it perfect for techniques like throwing a shaky head, throwing a drop shot, throwing that finesse bait, perch fishing, pan fishing, all those things that you love to do that require lighter line applications. Miravel is going to absolutely rock them. Like I said, $139.99, and we can even talk about drag pressures on these things. A 1,000 Miravel is going to kick out 7 pounds of drag. A 2,500 and a 3,000, 20 pounds of drag. A 4,000 and a 5,000, 24 pounds of drag. So even those big old nasty bass or big old walleye, when they start pulling hard, these reels will stop them. And the 5,000 size even comes with a cross carbon drag. So, I mean, really when it comes to technology at $139.99, we are in the best industry we've ever been in. Only in fishing can they make a reel better, but keep the price the same. And that happens every 3 or 4 years with Shimano reels. We just keep making them better.
All right, so JP, we're gonna keep this thing running because honestly, I didn't plan on getting into this, but you brought up something that I'm passionate about talking about. and that is what I call the trickle-down effect. So last year there was the raging debate about active target and live target and Panoptics and all these things, to where a lot of your pros were even getting on the narrative where they're like, oh my God, we're pricing the average angler out of fishing. But you hit the nail on the head. Every time a new technology comes out, it actually makes the technology 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago that was out of range then, more affordable. And so one of the things I love, actually the thing I love the most about Shimano is the breadth of their product line. But what I really love about it is that when you do have those technological advancements and the flagship reel goes up to $749, for example, it makes the $139 reel better than it was the year before because that stuff trickles down. So for the naysayers out there that always like to jump on that bandwagon saying things have gotten too expensive, what you have to realize is that when a company like Shimano pushes the envelope, it makes the stuff at the price point level much more affordable. For example, and I like to use this analogy, when DSI first came out, do you remember how much the cheapest unit you could get was?
My 797, which was the first SI unit I ever bought from Humminbird back in 2006, was $1,299 Canadian.
The cheapest DSI unit on the market was $800. You can now buy DSI for $99 in like 3 major manufacturers. You can get 2D sonar that's better than all of that stuff, right? You can get, you can get side scan and package deals now for under $500. Each time one of those things came out, the naysayer said, oh, it's too much. So when companies push the envelope of innovation, what happens is, like you said, all of those older deals and all that older technology that's still premium technology trickles down to the more price point stuff, which makes the high quality stuff from 2 years ago more affordable. So I really wanted to actually jump in on that narrative because we're about to walk over here and look at the Corrados. And we're about to walk over here and look at the SLX rods. Okay, I could talk about the reels all day, but we're really gonna go talk about these rods because, man, probably 8 years ago, you and I were fishing with rods that weren't as good as these rods at $99 for 3 times that price. And so, spiral wraps and spiral reinforcement
the technology
and the reel seats and the balance of a $99 rod right now is unreal, because I can firmly say, from my opinion, the new SLX rod is the best $99 rod I've ever seen. Okay, I mean, I truly believe that's not a sales tactic. I picked it up at the show and to throw the armor joint, right? And was like, what rod is this? And I looked at it because I didn't look familiar, and I looked up and saw SLX and was like, come on. So the first thing I thought was, oh man, how much are they going to make the SLX now? And it's $99.
$99 to $109.99, I think.
So we're going to go take a look at that. But man, thanks for your time.
Anytime. I
could not tell you guys that much about the spinning reels, especially right now. I plan on immersing myself a lot more in it. But this dude right here is a wealth of knowledge. JP, tell them where they can find out more about you and where they can follow you on socials and things like that. Because again, you saw what he just did right here talking about a spinning reel. He does the same thing for fishing. So tell them where they can find out more about your stuff.
If they love gear breakdowns, I do it on my YouTube channel. Just search up JP DeRose. And on social media, best place, probably Instagram, because I love Insta, JP DeRose Outdoors. And any information that you really want to dig into, you can always head to fish.shimano.com and find out the detailed specs of gear ratios and bearings and everything else.
But he's real, so I want you guys to go to his channel. So I'll put the link in the description box below, man. As always, it was a pleasure. Now let's go check out the Corrados and the SLX $99 rod. All right, guys, so listen, JP broke down the spinning tackle for you way better than I ever could, but I can tell you this, I have become a really big fan of the DCs. You guys have seen me doing videos on the Corrado DCs. What I didn't realize is how good the SLX series was. So I'm not gonna jump into all the details out there. I will say that I think the Corrado DC is by far the best middle of the road, bang for the buck in the DC category on the market, but if you're going to add several to the arsenal, if you're looking for the best price point DC reel on the market, I picked up the SLX DC over at the On Water. I made a few casts with the armor joint and literally had to look at the reel to see what reel it was. That's how good the SLX DC is. So if you're looking for a price point reel that's a digital control, that's going to stand up to the abuse that you're going to put it through, and you're going to be able to add 3, 4, 5 of them to your arsenal, you have to check out the new SLX DC. Again, I felt like it was probably going to be just like that entry level, just to say it's a DC. That's why I went with the Corrado DCs last year. But after picking this thing up and casting it, in fact, I left and did some other stuff and went back over to cast it again. I played with the settings. I played with the drag. I played with the friction control. It's comfortable in your hand. It's got a really good low profile. It doesn't have that loud digital whine. They've got numerous models, but this deep spool model with a lot of line capacity, man, I can tell you right now, I will be adding a few of these to the arsenal, because I think that this will complement the Corrados that I've added to the arsenal. So if you're looking for a digital control reel, do not overlook the SLX DC, especially since the new SLX rods are just a completely different creature. This paired with an SLX rod is by far, in my opinion, the best bang for your buck in a combo rod on the market. So let's go take a look at the new SLX rods, and we're gonna take a sneak peek at the Corrados, because the Corrado rebrand of those rods have got me really intrigued. I think they're gonna be a lot of bang for the buck at the price point. So let's go take a look at the SLX rods and the Corrado rods. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the new SLX rods from Shimano. So look, this is something you don't expect to see at a $99 price point. You got premium reel seats, you got premium components, premium EVA. They've also incorporated this Diaflash wrap that goes all the way to the stripper guide that reinforces the butt section, gives you a lot more power, gives you a lot more long-term reliability. You don't end up with rod fatigue. They make this thing all the way up to a 7'6" full EVA swim bait rod, to a 7'10" moderate, fast, you know, all around utilitarian rod. You could use this thing for a lot of things, flipping, pitching, could probably get away with some light punching with it. It'd be awesome for big top waters. It'd be awesome for, you know, big chatterbaits, big spinnerbaits, things like that. Just a really good all around long rod if you're looking to have leverage, but it also balances really well. So for us kayak anglers out there that want to have that rod out in front of us and holding it up above our heart, we don't necessarily have to have a $300 rod to get a premium rod that's going to stand up to the abuse. Really good quality guides, double-footed for the first 4. Just an unbelievable series of rods at the price point. And again, they've got spinning, they've got casting, the rods look really good. On the low end, when you're talking about the lighter rods, the lighter actions and stuff that most of us are going to use for bass fishing, it's unbelievable how light these things are. And then on top of that, they just look good. The colorway's good, the branding's good, the guides are freaking premium. So if you're looking for a really good price point rod, these new SLXs coming in at $99, again, I'm not saying this just because I'm with Shimano or I've been, you know, I've never held a rod at $99 that feels this premium, that's this lightweight, that's this well balanced. So I can't wait to get these things out on the water and put them through the paces. So if you're looking to add some rods to your arsenal this fall, be sure to check out the SLX series from the folks at Shimano. Now let's take a look at the Corrado rod series. All right, guys, so one of the things that Shimano does a really good job of doing is making it hard to decide what products you want. And they pulled the Corrado line last year and decided to completely go back to the drawing board. And I wish we had like feel-o-vision, where you could feel how light these things are through the camera. It's unreal how light this series of rods is at the price points that they come in at, and the clean look. And like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it in the camera, but there's like a scale hexagon 3D pattern built into the background right behind the logo and the model. But this premium EVA, really high end, 4 grips and open blank through reel seats, just make this entire line impressive. I could stand here and talk to you about them all day. There's literally an application, a length, power, and action combination for anything you want to fish for. And so if the SLX doesn't fit your style, or if you want to spend a little bit more to make that next jump, this Curado line, golly, it's going to be really hard to overlook these things when it comes to, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm kind of a rod snob. I have fallen in love with the X-Pride series, but I'm going to be hard pressed to tell you why you shouldn't pick up one of the Currados, because what they've done with this series is unbelievable. How premium this thing feels at the price point is hard to not get excited about. So I'm gonna add a few of these to the arsenal as soon as they're available. I'm gonna put them through the paces. I'll do a full review then, but the actual power that these things have, you know, doing the press to test on the floor, the actual quality control that they've got with the epoxy, the fit and finish, the component choices, everything about this rod series means it's going to be a powerhouse in the place that it fits into the industry. You combine this Corrado rod with the Corrado DC reel, you're gonna be hard pressed to find something better, especially for the money. All right guys, so if you're looking to add a new rod or two to your arsenal, be sure to add the Curado to your list of consideration. I'll be honest with you guys, I think it's one of the best value propositions in fishing, the new Corrado rods from the folks at Shimano. All right guys, so you didn't think I was gonna come to the Shimano booth and talk about the rods and reels and all that stuff and not talk about this dude right here, did you? Okay, so look, I'm excited about the SLX rods. I'm excited about the Curados, the SLX DC, all that good stuff. But the thing that I'm fired up about, to be honest with you, is the continued advancement that Shimano's making with their lure line. And so when you first look at the Arma joint, the 190 SF, you say to yourself, okay, it's another S swimming bait. First and foremost, it's not a glide bait, okay? If you can't look at it and see the joints in it and tell it's not a glide bait, you should probably do a little bit more swim bait fishing, because I've heard people talk about it. Oh, it doesn't look like a great glide bait. It's not a glide bait, it's a swimming bait. What's cool about this thing though, is that when you cast it, it folds in half, and that way it flies through the air better. All of us who've thrown big swim baits or big glide baits know that when you make a big cast, especially if you cast even into the slightest wind, and sometimes even without wind, it has a tendency to helicopter, right? And so this folding in half is a big deal. But when you fold a bait in half, you run into the situation where your hooks might hook up, and that's going to cause a problem. So you make a long cast, yes, you made a long cast, it didn't helicopter, but it hits, and now the hooks are hooked together. So what Shimano did is they created this little frame on the inside of there. So what you do is you push your bait down and click it in, and what that does is shortens that front hook so that when it comes around and when you cast it, it doesn't snag on itself. So at first glance, you don't realize how much technology has gone into the advancement of this bait, and that swimming action is phenomenal. But you've got scale boost, which gives it that more realistic look on the bottom. You got flash boost. And for everybody that fishes these type of baits, you know that the swimming action is deadly, but the stopping and giving back a little line where that bait turns back on the prey is a big part of why these things are successful. But then setting that thing still, and even the slightest ripple on the water or the ripple that it created while you're removing it gets that flash boost going. So it's sitting still, but it's creating an action. It looks like an injured bait fish that's struggling, creates an optical illusion. When the fish is looking at it from the bottom, it's creating all kinds of scattered light. That scattered light going through that scale boost looks like that fish has been attacked and it's injured and it's vulnerable, and it just elicits some vicious strikes. So again, this bait at first glance, just like, okay, cool, it's another swimming bait, right? It's another S-Waver style bait. It's a lot more to it than that. It's got a lot of things built into it that solve those problems that we've all dealt with. First of all, it casts better. Second of all, it doesn't foul as much. But when the fish hits it, that hook comes out and you've got all the leverage you need. The fish doesn't have the leverage over the lure, and this thing is just absolutely deadly. And I can't wait to get this thing on the water. I have been killing them on the flash boost and the whirl pop. That thing is absolutely amazing. I actually fouled up my line one time, was sitting there picking it out, and a fish murdered it while it was just sitting there waiting on me to get the backlash or the professional overrun out. So if you haven't considered adding the Arma joint to your arsenal, you are wrong, because this thing right here is going to change the game in swimming action baits. All right, so guys, look, I was able to twist Shimano's arm and sneak a few of these in my bag, so when I head home, I get to put these things through the paces. You're gonna get to see them in action. I can't wait to see them. I hope you check out the Arma joint 190 SF from Shimano. I think this thing is really gonna be a game changer.